Hello and welcome to the Maze of Thoughts podcast. Your co-host Trey 50 Daniel here with
EldritchsPIG. What it do?
what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Not much. We're about to do the Maze of Thoughts arena, dude.
You had a good week?
I don't think I ever have good weeks, but I guess I'm alive.
Better than the alternative, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
debatable, but that's
You'd be like
debatable.
Gundam. It's just like I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I really don't. Don't.
We can just use Elon's ships to ship you to Mars. Then maybe
Yeah,
you'll like
right.
that.
Because they're gonna send a poor fucking useless, fat, disgusting pig to fucking Mars. What am I gonna colonize? A bunch of morons? Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's like Moron Mountain. Like you remember? Did you ever watch Space Jam when you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like the Moron Mountain, it's like you just conquer that. But
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I did watch Space Jam, but I don't have like a recollection of it. Like, you know. But
it's
yeah,
this is their idiotic little like world that where they like
I
they.
remember like my with fucking Michael Jordan and
I have a
stuff.
great movie memory. Honestly, I really like if I watch a movie. I can a lot of times like I'll just recall different parts of a movie. Like I'll be like, oh, you remember that time when, in this movie, and then like, other people if I ask them, they're like, I haven't watched that in like forever. But like that's the one
I'm
thing
the
that my mind
opposite.
is good.
I'm the well, not it's not an opposite. It's more like I have a really really good memory, but it's more for things like things that happen on a stream or things that like you said to me or I said to you, and I remember those quite well. But fucking like movie memory, not so much really. Not so
Yeah,
much.
I remember movies and music a lot, but like everything else is kind of like, oh man, what did I do? What did I do last week? Like, what even happened last week?
There's another music is
Unless there's
another one.
something that unless there's something that like I did wrong, and then if I did something wrong or I messed up on something, I'm like, oh my god, I remember that for a year at least.
Yeah. Dude, music is the same shit. I can't remember like I think there's only a song that I fully remember the lyrics, and it's Eaten by Bloodbath. And that's because it's just like the fucking lyrics are just so fucked up. They're basically inspired by that whole cannibal like incident in Germany with the cannibal cafe dude. That's the only lyrics I like legitimately remember from top to bottom. Outside of that, even my own lyrics that I fucking wrote myself when I was in the band, I was like, I had to record myself doing the, singing the while singing. It wasn't singing, but I had to record myself, and basically I'd have to watch what I recorded and then like listen to it, and that's how I would sort of remember the lyrics. I'm such a fucking retard. It's crazy.
So you had to like rewatch yourself singing it, and you're like, oh, that's my lyrics, and
Yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't remember it. Shit that I literally wrote, I would not fucking remember it. So
dang,
yeah.
it feels
Let's say
bad.
hello to the people here in chat on MSP Waves. How you doing, Naj? And how you doing, Nine? Hello, hello. So what do you want to start with, man?
Well, it depends on how spicy you want to get. I mean, we got a couple left over from last week. There was the online bullying thing. We could go into that kind of thing, or if you want to talk about some more recent events, it depends. You know, we could talk. Go ahead and talk about, I guess, current events. there was a recent another court case verdict recently. A
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the Jussie Smollett thing? Like Jussie
Nah,
Smollett
dude, I have
thing.
no fucking idea who that is.
So he's a guy. He pretended he faked being attacked by people because he wanted to get clout, and
Hmm.
like he wanted to like he faked that like people he tried to pretend like there were he was a black guy. He tried to pretend like these white guys came and just like beat him up in the street. He paid two Nigerian guys to come beat him up or pretend beat him up, and then he pretended like he got beat up. He called the cops and then like said, "Oh no, they these white guys beat me up. You know that they were doing it because I'm black and because he happened to be gay too." So they were like, "Oh," but he's like, "Because I'm
Hmm.
black and gay, they beat me up." And then all of a sudden, like it comes out like 6 months later, like well. A lot of people already found it, like 4chan, like found it the next day. But like, by the time like 6 months later, everybody knew like, oh, he just completely lied. Like that never happened. He hired these two Nigerian guys to come like pretend to beat him up. Yeah, he was on the
What
show Empire.
the fuck was his goal? Did he want to like
Well,
get money
he's an
or some shit?
actor, so he's a mediocre actor. Like he's on the show Empire, and he wanted to get better roles, and he thought that like if he because like today's victimhood is clout, so
Uh,
if he thought if he got attacked, then people would be like feel sorry for him, and then they would like be like, oh, here's a new role, here's a new movie role, or here's a new show role, and he wanted to get like the better deals, and he thought that that was the way he could do it because he's just not a good actor from what I can tell. Like a lot of people didn't really say he was that good of an actor.
okay, well
Yeah,
that just seems like stupid shit, to be honest. Um, I mean that
yeah.
reminds me of a situation with Twitch actually, like a good amount of years ago, where this dude pretended to be crippled and he sat on a wheelchair. And then one stream, he literally just forgets about it and literally
I
stands
just
up.
stands up.
Yep. And everyone was like, "What the fuck? We thought we were fucking crippled, bro. What are you doing? We fucking donate to you and shit. Now you're fucking
Yeah,
normal."
but this is worse. This is like a high level worse because the FBI got involved, and so like he was trying to
How?
get these people hunted down like by the federal government. Like the federal government was going to hunt the people down who attacked him, and he lied to federal agents to say that like he was attacked by by
Oh,
somebody. So that's why he got sentenced this week. Well, I mean he didn't get sentenced. He got a um he actually got his trial completed, and they said 5 out of 6 counts he got like several charges of lying to officers and federal agents. So
serves him
he's gonna
right.
be in jail for a while.
Serves him right. So okay, did he pay those people to beat him up? But
Yes.
then he put people after them.
Well, no, he didn't go after those guys specifically. Like he paid those two guys to beat him up, and then like I don't know if he somehow uh basically what it was is it was too dark to see and they couldn't tell, like they were all dressed up, like they had like jackets on and stuff, so you couldn't really see what they looked like. And then so whenever the video footage, they couldn't really tell who these people were. But once people connect the dots, they knew that these were the guys that did it. But he was just trying to get like, hey, he said basically said, oh, because I'm black and gay, there was these white guys who attacked me, and somebody has to find them, and he just told the cops like, hey, you got to find these people, and basically they were headhunting, like you're trying to find who these people were, and then once they realized like that he's full of it, he was completely lying, and then they basically had to go, okay, well, now we know you're lying. We have to charge you.
Well,
Yeah, that's what it was. Basically what in the chat. I don't know how to say his
Nudge,
name.
nudge.
Naj. So Naj, yeah, it's basically he was just trying to get people to go after the whatever the white people that were there, and it could have been any white people at that point because nobody knew, because you couldn't tell what they would look like. The footage was so bad.
Well, it just goes to show that the world is fucked up and people are fucked up. And it's only going to keep on happening more and more and more, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's kind of a good, like, it's kind of like, you know, like white, you know what the white pill is, you know, like black pill, white pill. So like, it's kind of a white pill for me, because it's like, at least he got exposed for his garbage. Like, he, at least they finally got him, you know, instead of just letting him go.
Right. I mean, the problem is
he could have just got away
sure,
with it.
I'm 100% certain that this happens a lot in other places. Maybe not the same way, but the thing about these cases is that what people don't seem to realize is that in the world, some things that get sort of like the spotlight, the same shit happens all over the world. It just doesn't get the spotlight. That's what
he just had the biggest like spotlight on him, because basically, you know, he's in America, all of the tensions in America, you know, like especially the way racial tensions are being in America right now. But I don't know if you've seen it from the way that it goes on, but a lot of times now people are just afraid to interact in that way because they're afraid to be, you know, called like racist if they do anything, you know, like if they just say something wrong, then the person can just
bigot, you're a racist, you hate gay people,
finger
you're
wag.
homophobic.
Like, shut the fuck up, dude. You dumb fuck. You're the one who's racist. For fucking thinking I'm racist even though I'm not racist. Dipshit. A lot of those people that say that shit, they're the fucking worst of all. It's just fucking... They're just being guilt-tripped, I feel like. I don't know. I don't fucking understand the world anymore. That's why I don't like living in it. Why I very much would prefer to get the fuck out of here.
Like I said, Elon will send you out.
No, not to another planet. I just... You know, get out, you know.
Yeah.
Do other methods.
Not exist.
Yep. Yeah, man. That's some fucked up shit that people do that. But people are lying all the fucking time about whatever they are, whatever that happens to them. It's just a sad shit. At some point, I tweeted and sent it on D-Buzz saying that if men were truly pigs, the world would really be a better place. But it's like, if we were more like animals and we lacked these fucking bullshit emotions and complex shit that we go through in our minds and whatnot, we would be better, like a lot better, because we wouldn't be fucking affected by a lot of this bullshit, like trust issues, fucking, you know, relationships all over the place. And we're always like, you know, you go to a job and somebody starts doing better than you, you fucking try to fuck them over, and it's just fucked up. Just fucked up.
I think it's a mix though, because like you can look at how some people operate purely off emotion, and to me sometimes it almost comes off more like a animalistic in that way, because they just kind of do whatever, like they don't think about anything. So there's I think it's kind of 50-50. Like some people are more animalistic, so they just kind of don't think, like they don't think at all, they just do, and then that's why they end up in trouble.
No, man,
you know, especially
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. People who think a lot are sometimes the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's 50-50. There are some people who overthink it, and then there are other people who don't think at all, and that's why they end up in the situations they're in.
Yeah, but there's people who think normally, and like, dude, literally, I just watched a video last night from that chapter. 2 brothers who had like fucking affiliated businesses and shit in the same building, and I think it's like a 2013 or 2014 case or some shit like that. This was in Cold Snack, fucking whatever. I don't remember where the fuck that was in America, but yeah. So they had a conjoined business, or it was like one was past management, the other one was like technology and shit. They were best friends for most of their fucking life. And because the brother who was doing better in life was about to sort of end their affiliation in the business, the other brother burned, like, he fucking went to his brother's house, killed his brother with shots to his head, stabbed his 2 kids, and stabbed his fucking wife, and burned down the mansion where he lived. So, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, we humans are our brains are very, very fucking complex, dude. And it doesn't matter if you're a functional individual. You can be a dysfunctional individual from one, like, just one little snap makes you be dysfunctional. And it's a lot of these things, or you can literally tell. And it's one of those situations, like, literally, the dude was very normal. He also had his wife. He also had his kids. He lived a regular life, and just because of financial shit, he goes in and does this kind of shit. So that's why I say, if we were like animals, if we lacked these emotions, if we didn't have to think this much, or not, it's not even thinking. The problem is not thinking. The problem is the emotions that overwhelm us, like greed and the hunger for power and the hunger for supremacy and all this bullshit. That's what makes humans, in my opinion, the worst fucking race on Earth. You know what I mean? Because if you were like look at animals, like, imagine dogs or cats. Like, dogs are very loyal. Dogs are very, like, they don't give a shit if you give them fucking gifts or whatever. You don't have to give them gifts for them to like you. You have to pay attention to them. You have to be their friend, and they'll be your fucking friend until the day you die or they die, man. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. If we were more like this, if we weren't because, like, a lot of times, a lot of relationships that happen, we're overwhelmed by emotions that come from out of nowhere, out of the fucking blue. They just come in and it's like, wow, how, why? And you have a friend, but something that friend does, you start thinking about other shit. It's just like, a relationship between a dude and a woman, and the dude goes out for a night with his friends, and the chick starts thinking, oh, he must be cheating on me and shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have no reason whatsoever to think that the dude's cheating with you or on you, because he's, like, just on a night out with his buddies. But you still think about that shit. You still gonna think about it. Knight says a person has to work with emotions, emotion regulation, expression, learn and grow. Yes, but that's exactly what I'm saying. If we didn't have that shit, it would be better. Because those emotions and all that shit, it eventually ends up making us snap or something. Like, a fucking culmination of what happened to my life makes me not want to live anymore. And how is that good?
Well, I think that,
it isn't.
I mean, it's sort of the yin and yang, right? Like, because there's some things, like, if you get to experience, I guess, maybe I'm more privileged in that, aspect, that there are some things, like, I can at least say that there've been a few good things about my life. I may complain, but that's such as life, right?
Everybody complains.
But like, overall, I think that I've kind of had a privilege of having sort of a good path, and having some good things happen to me. But overall, like, the human experience, like, if you get to experience some good moments, it kind of literally negates everything bad that's happened to you in the past. It just takes a couple good moments. Like, for me, like, seeing my son being born, kind of thing. That's a real moment, like, kind of different, almost an out of body experience with the way that the human emotions work there. But as far as, like, you know, yeah, there can be times where I get agitated and I get overwhelmed, or so it's, where emotions overtake what your actual rational thought is. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's unique to humans, but I wouldn't say that all of it is unique to humans, because I mean, if you look at the animal kingdom, there are a lot of, it's not just dogs out there. There are a lot of vicious creatures who just rip each other apart, and tear each other through the hierarchy of
But
what
you can't. No.
animals.
I'm talking about domestic animals, not talking about wild animals. Because wild animals have never been domesticated. Because lions' nature is to fucking be predators. However, if a lion grows up with the human and shit and has like affection shown to it and stuff, the lion can behave very amicably or whatever towards the human. Does that mean the human is always safe? No, but I mean, you kind of have to be on the lookout for that. But
Well, I mean, even if you're looking at domesticated animals, like even if you were only looking at domesticated animals, like I was jogging through the neighborhood like a few weeks ago, and I went by this house. I've been jogged by this house a million times. I don't know what happened, but apparently they had a pit bull, and it just comes out there barking at me, and it got pretty close, and it was not happy to see me, and I was just on the road. I wasn't even in their driveway. I wasn't anywhere near there, but it was ready to tear me limb from limb, just because it has an animal.
Why do you think that? Why do you think he was ready to tear you limb from limb?
Because it
was
snapped
barking
at
at
me,
you?
and no, it snapped at me, and it was
What do you mean?
literally trying to, like,
what's-
jaws snapping at me, like, yeah, like nipping at me.
But did the dog bite you?
No, because I had to use force to, I mean, I didn't hit the dog, but I stomped my feet, and it narrowly missed me. So yeah.
That's probably because animals can pick up emotions, and it probably sense the fear that. So.
Well, it probably did, but it did probably pick up on my fear, but it definitely heightens it whenever it's coming aggressively at me. So.
Yeah. So Nosh said here. Well, actually, let's read a little bit less, or a little bit further. Why Nine says, why does the ban have to be negated? Why not face it and deal with whatever needs to be worked through? I mean, I think I'm too stupid to understand it's meant to.
Well, what he's saying is whenever I was saying, like, okay, there's a yin and yang to the sort of the emotions, like there is enough good that outweighs the bad, and I guess he's just trying to say, like, well, why not take I think he's trying to basically say, like, why don't you take the bad and flip it and make it good, or make it to be what you want it to be, or something like that, and be able to deal with the bad. I don't think you can deal with all the bad. I mean, I don't think I can just flip the fact that I don't have, like, my grandfather anymore. Like, that just isn't that isn't something that I can just kind of take a bad event and just kind of flip it and be like, oh yeah, it's I'm glad that he's gone. That would be really messed up. But I mean, well, I mean, yeah, using it to grow would make sense, but like, if I'm just, it's a little bit different whenever when you're experiencing this and when you're trying to process it, because I don't want to just think that it's always going to be something that's going to be recurring, and my grandfather dying is not going to be a pleasant memory or be a pleasant thing to me. So be positive.
Then Nosh says, too many people are left off without being shown how to control their emotions and let their feelings roll out themselves. Instead of investigating to find the truth, they just catastrophize out to the max, then they break down over the thought of dealing with the catastrophe that they created in their mind. I mean, to an extent, yes, but it's one of those things. The mind is very complex. Even fucking psychologists and psychiatrists fucking struggle understanding the human mind, and most of them work their whole life on it, and it's been many years since psychology and psychiatry has been a thing. Even they fucking struggle with it. So why wouldn't we, like, why wouldn't I, a common individual who has not studied psychology or psychiatry, not struggle with it? And just like me, a lot of us here, unless you've actually studied psychology and psychiatry. And so yeah, my point, this actually like segued way too much, way too further than I was sort of meant to take this. It was just literally a little thing where, yes, if we were more like animals instead of having like such complex shit, the world would be a better place. But I think everyone wants to be, you know, fucking like, yes, we're humans and we like to be humans. But okay. I don't know.
I think it's just like there's a balance of like brutality and like, you know, all animals are capable of brutality, but the one thing that are good about humans that the majority of them can restrain their brutality. Like you could have someone who like like let's say Conor McGregor. Like Conor McGregor could probably like I mean, I know he's lost a few fights, but generally speaking, if he walked up to your average Joe, I mean, Conor McGregor probably would just take you out in one swing. But most of the time, he's not, you know, like swinging on people, like so.
Or get taken out.
Yeah.
Just because you see that shit on the fucking shows doesn't mean that guy's like this strong. You gotta. There's a major difference between street fights and fucking like actual fights on the ring. There's a massive difference there. Because I've seen a lot of street fights and people pick up on whatever the fuck they have at hand. And if you got like a fucking screwdriver in hand, you're gonna fucking grab that shit and you're gonna use that shit. That's like, okay, screwdriver is more like a step thing, but
well, I guess you're taking what I'm saying too literally though. But what I'm saying is like someone like that is capable of brutality. Like he could really just, you know, walk up to somebody and just like mess them up if he just wanted to. But you know, most people keep themselves restrained, and that's the great thing about humanity is that most of the time that they can restrain.
That's what I'm saying.
Brutality.
Like, if okay, yeah, whatever. Whatever. I
go in circles, I guess. It would go in circles, I guess.
Yeah, so, okay, reading, can't take away the fact my brother's a psychopath who terrorized me from birth. Pick something, you have to decide to look at the junk in your closet, whatever it is. Face it down, it's the only way to release it. Psychiatry should be looked at with a very questioning mind. I understand that, but that's not the problem. The problem is not looking at the junk in your closet and face it down. There's just problems you can't face. There's just shit that happens to you cannot deal with. You can move forward, but you cannot deal with it. I can't deal with the fact my best friend died in a fucking car accident in 2017. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with the fact both my father and my grandmother killed themselves. I can't deal with that. I can move on, but what am I gonna do? Fucking just sort of go forward and be like, can I bring them back? I can't bring them back. I can't do anything towards it. It just fucking happened. I can move on, but those are things. Those are things. Then there's other things. There's like a fucking amalgamation of shit, like trying to get a job and people thinking because you haven't found a fucking job and shit, you have to, like, you're a lazy piece of shit and you just don't want to work. Like, as if you just snap your fingers and you got a fucking job. Like, that's not how it happens. It's not how it works. I've been trying to find a fucking job since I was 17 years old and I've never been able to. And it's what am I supposed to do? Fucking go over to a recruiter and point a gun at their fucking heads and be like, yo, give me a job. I need a job. Like, the only thing I can do is apply to it and then try to get it. But the problem is that if there's other shit that doesn't allow me to fucking get it, then it's like, you know what I mean? The problem is not outside of me. I know the problem is not outside of me. The problem is obviously me. But the problem is, I can't fix me. I've tried. If I could fix me, I'd fucking fix me. That's just the stupidest fucking thing I ever hear. Why don't you get better? Why don't you fix yourself? Work on fixing yourself. How the fuck, like, why don't you think, why would anybody think that I just don't want to be fixed? I just want to stay the same shit lord I am. Like, how, like, why the fuck would that be a thing? There's just shit you can't deal with, period. And if you think so, you think you can fix whatever happens in your life, fantastic. I'm really happy for you. But there's shit you just can't fucking fix.
Yeah, I think it's just some people who have different experiences who don't understand like that there are some things that are just like it's a path down a road that you can't like really undo, or you can't separate yourself from. I mean, you're going to carry these things with you, you know, for ages. I mean, for the whole duration of your life, probably. And even if you do come to like a realization and you do fix it, quote unquote, it's never going to be a permanent fix. It's always going to be until some other thing happens. But generally speaking, you have, I mean, like you said, you just kind of have to keep going. Like, you just have to wake up the next day, and it's not going to change what happened, and you're not going to be able to change how you feel about the event. It's just something that you're just gonna have to sort of maneuver around. Like, I don't think it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're
Yeah, I
all
guess.
broken. We're all broken hybrid. Like that's why a lot of people see it as fixing. Like, well, a lot of people are more broken. Generally speaking, there are a lot of people who are very broken, and they would like to be fixed. They would like to not
Now, you
have
can't
to.
change how you feel if you want to. That's not how that works. I mean, listen, if that works for you, fucking kudos. I feel very happy for you. But if that's not how that shit works for me, anyways. That's not how that shit works for me. I can't just fucking like, oh, I'm feeling like shit today, but I want to be happy. Okay, I'm happy now. That's not how that fucking works, dude. That's not how that fucking works. At least not for me, anyways. Of course, I have to talk about me. I'm not going to be able to talk. Let's see here.
Yeah, well,
Person bored?
I think that Naj is more in line with what I'm thinking about. Is that if you just literally bury yourself in this emotion, and you bury yourself in this exact spot in this line of thinking, and you just kind of completely give up, like you just don't even try to face anything, you don't try to challenge yourself at all, then yeah, I mean, those thoughts that you have are going to make you do actions that are going to be not good for you. So I guess, like, in that way, it becomes a sort of this vicious cycle. You know, that people have said that kind of thing about it a lot. Is it's a vicious cycle of like, wake up, do something that doesn't help
up.
you. Like, don't
Wake up.
Well, I mean, it's
Wake
like you
up.
wake up. It's like you wake up though, and you don't do anything, and then you wonder why. Like, it feels like life sucks. Like, you don't do anything. You just wake up, and you don't even think about
life
anything. You
does
don't try
suck, though.
It does, but I mean, like, if you never do anything, like if you just don't even try at anything, then yeah, it will kind of like overwhelm you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But,
I guess that's why that's why I feel overwhelmed. That's why, it's just like, it's a combination of bullshit, you know. Like when I was 12, my grandmother died. I didn't know she killed herself. I only found out about that when I was 27. So I guess it didn't crush me as much as it did. But as my grandfather was a trucker, this is like sob story time with Pig. But as my grandfather was a trucker, he was not available when when I needed. And as a trucker, he was most of the time like out and about fucking doing trucker shit. So I had to go through that shit. I had people there, but eventually those people went away and I started to isolate myself. And maybe that's the fucking problem. Maybe that's the problem, where I just found comfortability in being isolated and not talking about anything and just sort of sticking to my shit and just, not talking to anybody. That's how I am. I don't like, I don't go about. Sometimes I go like, yo man, hey, you wanna a stream Dead by Daylight or some shit, but at the same time I'm kind of trying to grow myself at the same time, sort of trying to help you by doing like a combined stream and trying to be a little bit more entertaining for somebody outside or some shit. But at 12 years of age, fucking grandmother dies, grandfather's a trucker, there's like weird fucking shit there. He tries to fill up the void with material bullshit, and I start smoking. I start fucking drinking, and just overall, that's how my youth, my teenager years were spent, like drinking and smoking and just being like stealing shit. I'd go to stores, fucking steal shit. You know what I mean? I stole like 1,000 euros from my grandfather because I stole his credit card, and I just went fucking spending like crazy. I did a lot of bullshit when I was a kid because I was like fucking trying to find myself. I was like, what is happening? What is going on? I started listening to fucking metal. I started listening to dark fucking black metal and shit like that. Not to blame metal. Metal was probably one of the best things that happened in my life. It was one of the best things that happened in my life. Metal people are super cool. Metal festivals were fantastic. Really friendly people. If there was one fucking place I would be like feeling relatively safe, not entirely safe, but relatively safe to like leave my wallet in the tent was a fucking metal festival. Nothing ever happened. So if it happens, it's unlucky, but it's not like a fucking festival for house and dance music where everyone's stealing shit from everyone. But it was just like a process of growth where, because I isolated myself, like when I was 13, 14, me and my grandfather, we'd go to like my uncle's house for Christmas and shit, and my uncle is my grandfather's son. So like we'd go there for Christmas, and then eventually that stopped, and it just started being me, and Christmas was just me sitting here by myself fucking drinking and smoking. But I had my friends to do it. That best friend I mentioned earlier, I had him and other people, like 2 other friends. We'd just get together, drink, and watch movies all night and shit until we had to go home. So that helped the fucked up shit that was going on. But then you lose that best friend that fucking like gives you a little bit of a pillar to grasp onto, and you feel like, why? It just, everything just crumbles beneath you, and you feel like
you can even see that in the most famous people. I mean, like you look at what happened to like even like Eminem, like who's like the most famous rapper in the world. Like after he lost his best friend, like who was like kind of his pillar, what you say, like he kind of just went off for several years, and then of course he came back. But I mean, and part of that is I guess he kind of has money and he has people around him that can kind of help him. But I definitely think
that's a hard one to say because
I mean,
had like Chester from Linkin Park. Probably also
Yeah.
had
Well,
that
I
shit.
mean,
That's why I'm
a
saying
different
it's
kind
so complex. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's so fucking complex, dude. Like Robin Williams as well. Like, dude was fucking popular as fuck.
Legendary.
He had money as fuck. He had like all the roles and shit, and he just ends it. You know. And same thing with like who we were just talking about. No, fucking yeah, Chester. So you know,
Yeah.
it's just like it's one of those things so complex. Like, you know, like it when you look at it, somebody like me who has nothing right now, it feels like, well, when I say nothing, I mean, you know, it's not like I'm living in the streets,
Yeah.
but I don't have a job. My only income comes from Hive, and it sucks. It sucks. I want to get the fuck out of here, man. I want to try and find, you know, something else, somewhere else to live in a place where I can actually go out and not have people around that fucking judge me for the way I am and for who I am and shit, you know. So it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. So one of people, if people look at like my shit, they probably make sense. But then you look at like Robin Williams, Chester, and stuff. You're like, what? How? Why? Why would they do that? So that's why I say it's so complex. It's so fucking complex.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, like, I guess just to go into my mindset a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say I've had it had as bad experiences as you obviously, Pig, but like the the things that I've dealt with, you know, do get to me. You know, my parents kind of sucked in a lot of ways.
Oh,
Um,
so that's here's the thing. Like,
but I'm not.
just
Well, I mean,
sorry
like,
to interrupt you there for a little bit,
yeah.
but everyone's problems, it's everyone's problems, or everyone's like, it doesn't matter if your computer doesn't start, it's gonna feel like the worst fucking problem you ever have. So I never devalue anybody's problems. I hate to do oh, I had it worse than you had. So, you know, like, there's like, it seems like nowadays there's a fucking competition for who had it worst. Like, the fuck are you talking about? It's not about that, you know. It's like, in my opinion, it's about getting together and trying to fix each other instead of like sitting there competing for who had it the worst. You know, like, you had stupid shit happen with your parents. I had what happened to me. Of course, what happened to me impacted me a lot more than what happened to you impacts me, but what happened to you impacts you a lot more than it impacts me. I can still have sympathy and empathy for you, though. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Don't go like, oh, I didn't have it as bad as you had, because I hate that shit. So yeah, go on. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, it's just like, you know, my parents kind of sucked in a lot of ways. You know, they didn't want me to go into the things that I did in college and stuff like that. You know, but overall, like, whenever it came down to it, you know, like, I am, you know, married and I have a kid, so kind of even at this point, like, things, you know, I don't really have a great relationship with them. Like, I can't just call up my dad and be like, hey dad, you know, like, everything's like hunky dory. I mean, like, we get, I can get along, but it's not like, you know, great. Where, like, I don't know, I guess I get envy because I see a lot of other people who have like really, you know, happy you know, families, and they can kind of go to their go talk to their dad or do these kind of things, and just, I just don't have that. So it's a lot different whenever I experience that kind of thing. But I don't know, man. Like, what it does to me is like, I just have to. I look at, you know, my wife and my son, and I just kind of like, I got to do this. I got to get up. I got bills to pay. I got things to do, and I just kind of do it. And I don't like it. I'm not happy. I'm not necessarily all the time happy, like, with a lot of those things that go on. But it's just kind of like, hey, a lot of my life feels like it sucked. But I just kind of wake up and I just kind of do something. Like I just get my feet moving. It's kind of like whenever I go to the gym. Like I like going to the gym once I get there, but every morning I'm like, kind of get in the car, drive, and go to the actual gym where I have membership and just. But once I get there, it's kind of like, okay, I'm do my thing, and then I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So see, that's you know, that's yes, extent uh a reason for you to do your things because you feel the responsibility, wife and your kid, and you know, yeah, man, fuck yeah, that's what you have to. Because I mean, um,
But
you know,
I guess the end point of it is like who was it was saying like basically like, oh yeah, you can kind of fix it by doing things. I'm doing things, but it's not necessarily fixing that problem. It's always going to exist. I'm always going to feel like crap for it, but it's never going to change that. I'm just doing something to keep me going, and that's pretty much my flow of the way that things are going.
yeah, yeah,
But I
I
guess
agree
that's
with
kind of
I agree with
that's
that
kind of
because definitely, I feel like one of the reasons why the lockdown has led so many people, you know, it's being stopped and not being able to do shit, not being able to fucking, you know, do what you do. Honestly, like I said, but like I've been saying for a long time, it's the lockdown didn't change anything for me because I put myself in kind of a self lockdown after my best friend died because like it just it's fucking trust issues and shit. And I'm not saying everyone is out there to get me, but I'm always on the lookout, and it's very fucking hard for me to trust people. Shit. And usually when I do, it kind of sucks. But there's really good there's really good people out there that I met. Like there's one I had a course. I took a course from 2014 to 2015, and it was mostly like older people. I think I was like 24, 25, and like the dude I connected with the most. This is why I say I'm a boomer in a 30-year-old body, because the dude I connected the best with was like 47 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the dude that I still talk to. Like, he still calls me. I still call him, and it's like, yo, what's up, man? How you doing and shit? And yeah, he also has kids. He also has his wife, and he also has like a drinking issue as well. Like, he drinks a lot. I was in a fucking, well, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a car accident, but we were drinking throughout the day, and then driving to his place, he like hits the railing to the right, and the car just like got a fucking bunch of scratches and shit. But yeah, man, it's like it's these things that connect us, same fucking issues and shit. That's why we need to extend sort of stay together. And
But yeah, I guess
moving
that's
on.
kind of moving on. That's kind of like the most dense topic we could possibly dive into.
Yeah,
So have you seen there's been some big shakeup at the in the sort of executive world lately. Nvidia and PlayStation, both their executives. Did you see this story yet?
not at all.
So to an Nvidia executive and a PlayStation executive, um, both of them got caught by a vigilante group called they're like Catching Predators or something like that, and yeah, they pretended to be like 15-year-old boys, and so they caught these guys trying to meet up with a quote unquote pretend 15-year-old boy, like the way that they were, they said, "Hey, I'm 15, and like, do you still want to meet?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's get it on," And then they met them and they exposed them, and then both of them got fired, of course, after they got
Dude,
caught.
hopefully, hopefully.
And they were high level executives too. They were high level executives.
Well, that just sort of goes to prove the point that elite motherfuckers, you know. I've been seeing like a lot of shit. I mean, I think it was you that either commented or some shit about or retweeted or something about the NFT, like fucking
Oh yeah,
for
like
NFT World, like some motherfuckers looking for
like
kids
13-year-olds.
like minors to do NFTs for them and teach them shit. And it's like, why though? Why do you need to like it's one thing if the kid's a really good artist and the parents are struggling or something. I think it's one thing for them to get into the NFTs, but why not do it as the parents and manage the money as the parents? Why do you have to put your kid, or why do you have to say that you have a kid that's like 10 years old wanting to get into the NFT world? Like, again, I think the NFTs brought a good opportunity for people who are struggling, for artists that struggle with commissions and shit, people who, like artists that are sitting there and they just have a really hard time with shit because like some people scam them and stuff. Oh yeah, I'll pay for that and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, you know, don't put your kid out there. Don't say that your kid. It's like sell the NFT or some shit that your kid makes and give them like a part of it, or like you're gonna have to manage the money anyways. You know, you have to fucking manage the money.
It doesn't make any sense. Like well, I mean, like you see, there's a lot of parents who do like who are parents of like kids who do YouTube, like the Ryan's Toy World or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so like these parents can do it. It's just a lot of parents who are lazy. They would much rather like kind of let somebody else do it, and they're like, oh, that'd be too much work to actually like help my kid learn how to like sort of market themselves and be able to make money and probably help the family if they're actually good at drawing. I don't know, man. Like that's weird. But I just found it weird that like these I guess here's a sidebar. Like these executives were trying to meet people. Well, I mean, they were pretending to be 15-year-old boys. So I just find it very weird and unsettling, particularly I guess the vigilanteism of it. Like I don't know, what do you think about that? Like people doing this whole like catfishing people and then trying to be like, oh, gotcha. You know, I mean, I get it that these guys kind of look scummy for what they said. If you read the messages, they look really bad that they're saying like, okay. But then again, it begs the question of like, how would they? How do you know that you're being catfished or what? I mean, that's kind of super sus. Like trying to vigilante justice these kind of people. I don't know how I feel about that.
If you're a person, if you have somebody who's 15 trying to talk to you, trying to get it on with you, you probably deny it. I would deny it. Be like, yeah, I don't give a shit if you're a fucking model at 15 years of age. I don't. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, I agree with that, but it's also like they should have to be 18 to register to even use the app. I mean, I would think that honestly, all dating sites should be that way. That I mean, and other than it should be more than just ticking a box. Honestly, if you're gonna go on dating sites, a lot of times I don't know if they shouldn't have some sort of. I don't really like ID verification, but like it is a little sus that people can just kind of make an account and pretend to be 18 or whatever, and then. So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that. I like anonymity, but I also think that in something like where you're actually wanting to meet people.
That's what I've been saying all the time, man. That's what I've been saying all the time. I'm all in for being anonymous, but there's just situations where you just like, being
that's
anonymous
the one. I think
messed
that
up.
generally speaking, like I don't think people should like. There were people who say on like Twitter, like you should have to use your real name on Twitter. I don't think you should have to use your real name on Twitter, but like yeah, like for doing something like dating, it's kind of weird not to actually use your real name and real info for if you're actually wanting to date people.
So I used to do a lot of Second Life, back in like 2009 and 2000, and I was 17 at when I joined, and then I went and became 18, so I used my ID to certify that I was an adult. But I know for a fact that there's people on Second Life that use like their parents' ID to certify that they're adults. So, and I think this also happened with OnlyFans at some point. I think Gundam actually mentioned this shit, where like a 15-year-old or 12-year-old or something, they use like their grandma's
Parents'
ID or
ID
some shit
to be able to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
And
And technically, anyone who would have had that would then be in possession of child porn. So
it's like Najee's saying, how many different ways there are to get a fake ID. Yeah, to get a fake ID and use an ID that's not yours, because your ID is only going to certify that person, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you are that person. You're still hiding behind a fucking nickname that you came up. So
well, I mean, I'm saying like for a dating site, you would probably like it would be preferred that you would use your real name and real credentials, like real info, than to use.
Of course, it's preferred, but it's not going to happen anyways. It's not going to happen. Like, it's just you can just use a different name.
Yeah,
it's no.
Yeah, it's.
I think.
I just
are
find
you
it,
trying to?
I just find
Are you
it
trying
weird.
to say this? Are you trying to say like if you proved your identity with your ID, you like it would lock you to your real name on a dating site? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If that happened, that would be great. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's another thing. Like, the internet is a fucked up. It's a blessing and a curse, like Mutahar usually says. It's a blessing and a curse because, like, if you're on Twitch and you make your stream a mature stream, you can still have an 8-year-old who says they're 18 or 13 or some shit, whatever the fucking age has to be for mature streams on Twitch, and you can still lie about it, and you have a fucking 8-year-old. Watching a stream that's meant to be for mature audiences. So, but how do you combat that?
I mean, none of it's foolproof. I just think that it's very weird, like the vigilantism, I guess, like the catfishing of a lot of it. Like even just like the show talking about catfishing, like where people are. No, Naj, I'm not on that. I'm not into that. I'm not wanting to microchip everybody. I don't agree with that. I'm just saying, like,
unless it's awkward.
I just find it weird that people want to like pretend to be like particularly with dating specifically. Not that obviously not that I'm in dating or whatever, but it's
the thing is, you can argue that those dating websites are specific for dating. Yes, you're right. But dating can happen anywhere, man. Like, dating can happen on fucking World of Warcraft. Dating happens in Second Life all the time. A lot of people go to Second Life specifically to date. I mean, a lot of fucked up marriages, the people from those fucked up marriages, they go over to Second Life so that they can have like sort of a side
chick
relationship, and it's still cheating in my opinion, because like the emotions are still there. It's not like maybe you're not fucking in real life, but still like wanting to do it.
I just find it weird that people want to do this, especially like these people that want to. I mean, I get what they're trying to.
I mean, if you have the guts for it, I'm all for it. If you have the guts to do it, I'm all for it. I mean, like fucking Chris Hansen did that shit with like girls pretending to be, 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds and shit to catch those motherfuckers. There's no other way you can catch them. There's no other way you can catch them. You have to catfish them to get these motherfuckers, because there's literally no other way. Because they're like, they will never come out and be like, I'm a fucking pedo. Hello. Like, it's never gonna happen. So you literally have to use these methods to fucking get them. Exactly. When the cops can catch you, vigilantes will. I mean, I posted not too long ago on my server about the Mama Max video. He did like basically a fucking movie, and Mama Max does really, really good videos with a bunch of action and shit. Like, he actually acts out, beating the fucking predators up and shit. Of course, he's not really doing it. It's all an act, but he's still fucking it's still gets actors to do, or people he knows to do it with him. And his last video was basically using IMVU, which is another one, is like not necessarily specific to dating, but dating happens on it, and a lot of fucking creeps use that shit. And it's like, yeah, it's just messed up.
Well, I think more of where I'm coming from is I've seen kind of stuff happen where like there's these weird scenarios, especially in the legal system, with the way that so like an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, right? So if a 16-year-old is dating an 18-year-old, the 18-year-old can still go to jail, which is very weird, or like, and it doesn't make sense because once they,
I mean, if the 16-year-old does not consent.
Well, in a lot of states, 16 is the age where they can, but technically, if they like sent pics to the 18-year-old guy, then the 18-year-old guy is technically in possession of child porn. Yeah. Yep. So it's very one of all the legal system with the way that goes, and like I said, I'm not advocating for anything to allow these people to go. I'm just saying that there are really gray areas that the legal system, like if you just kind of push it too far, like it kind of becomes really really weird, because it's like 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, a lot of them date, so it's just kind of like,
yeah,
like it doesn't make sense that they get that you can just send them to jail because 18 and 16-year-olds date. I don't know.
I think there's a lot to. I think there's a lot to that shit, because I mean, if I don't think you can just send this fucking 18-year-old kid to jail just because he's dating a 16-year-old. I think there's got to be a lot more shit to that, in my opinion. And if they do it that way, where this is like, yeah, hey, you're 18 years old and you're getting pictures from a 16-year-old, fucking, yeah, you're a creep, we're gonna put you in jail. Like, I think there's got to be a lot more shit to that, because these things are very sensitive things.
I see so many people without the nuance of it. They're just like, yeah, like if it's like an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, yeah, just go ahead and like hang, like put him to the guillotine like immediately, just gone. But yeah, it's weird the way that some people handle it. But yeah, I agree. In general, I agree with a lot of principles of what people just be like, yeah, send them to jail. Send the real problems to jail. But like if you don't consider the nuance, things can be really messed up.
When I was in middle school, 15, 16, the girls my age, they would date like 25, 30-year-olds, and I was like, dude, the fuck. But they would date them because they had cars and they had jobs, so they could pay for shit. And it's just one of those fucking things. But
yeah, I mean, I knew some people.
I always found it weird. I always found it to be very weird.
It can be kind of weird, but like then like if it's so say like there were some people who were like 19 or 20 that dated 16-year-olds in my high school, and I thought it was a little bit. I thought it was very weird at the time. Uh, and obviously, I don't think that they should do anything, right? Like if they're going to date, but it's like, it is a weird sort of scenario. You know what I mean? Like I don't think once they get a couple of years older, like as soon as they turn 18, then it's kind of like the other person is like 22. It's like this isn't so.
I don't think that's weird. Like that's not that big of a gap. I don't think that's. I mean, I was 25, and I was in a relationship with a 35-year-old woman. That weird?
Well, to some people it would be. Like that's what I'm saying. Is a little bit odd. Like people don't consider nuance about it. They just kind of think like, oh, like if you're if they're not 18, well, I mean, obviously, I would advise anyone just if they're not 18, just don't do it. Like if they're not your like even kids dating, if they're not your age, probably don't do it until you're older. Like don't get involved with anyone that's not your age.
The problem with that is that if it's fucking like an 18-year-old with a 16-year-old, I don't give a shit. Like it's not a big deal, not a fucking problem. It's only 2 years of a fucking difference. Like most couples have that difference. Like you can't fucking say that, oh, like how old is your wife, for example? If it's not,
she's the same age as me.
You're the same age. Okay, well then you got lucky, I guess. But most couples, there is a difference in ages, either like 3 years, 5 years, something like that. So it's not weird. Like I can give you an example. Personally, I've always been into older women. That's just my preference. That's just my personal preference. Not like fucking 80-year-olds. Not like grannies, who can't move.
You just
anymore.
like the MILFs, don't you?
But I
like the MILFs.
I like them, like 35, 40, 45, 50 if they're well conserved. But it's, basically, it's just, first of all, in my opinion, it's a matter of like the connection between the two people. But secondly, it's always going to happen. Like it's always going to happen a sort of an age gap between the two. But not always, because it's not your case, but most times it happens, But when I was like 15, there was like this 12-year-old girl who fucking had like an obsession with me or something. I found that shit weird. But it's it was me because I've always had a preference for older women. I've always had this preference for older women. So it's like when I was 15 and this 12, like it's not even that big of a fucking difference. We were both minors and shit. It wasn't that big of a difference. I just found it weird. Because also when it's an obsession with you and shit, like they're talking to you like you're some fucking kind of god and shit, it's weird. That just makes everything weirder. It's like, no.
You need them to you need it to be 50-50. You need them to insult you and compliment you at the same time.
Okay, I guess I do like to be submissive sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I like me a dominant woman to be honest. Yep. Not to the extent of like putting a leash on me and fucking like walking me like a dog and treating me like a not to that extent, but I do like a dominant
lick
woman.
the toes.
No. I don't do feet stuff either. I don't do that shit either. Fuck that. No. But yeah, it's not that weird in my opinion. But I think those dudes do a good job. It's technically just like the thing with like literally the first Mr. Robot scene where he hacks into
he
like
catches
a
the guy.
He hacks into a pedo's server or whatever with a bunch of CP in it, and then he just blackmails the motherfucker as the cops are coming in, and then the cops come in and he's like, yeah, just give me the money, I'll let you be. And then he goes away and the cops just walk through the fucking cafe and take the guy out. That was fucking great. So, you know, it's one of those things. If like the cops most times don't do enough, FBI most times don't do enough to fix these issues, and there's got to be people to do it, man. There's got to be like, what are we just gonna let those creeps fucking walk around?
Well,
and
no,
do whatever the fuck
like,
they want?
I'm much for like I don't really necessarily like a lot of things that police do, because I mean there's a lot of useless laws that are on the books, but I don't necessarily blame them for that. A lot of that's on our politicians, but like as far as like generally speaking, I'm all for them going after people who actually do things wrong. I just think that a lot of times, like when people sweep with such a broad brush, they're gonna catch a lot of like people who aren't in the actual like target.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I actually experienced something similar to that at some point. You know, I have to go grab a beer to drink. I actually, you know, it's my remainder of a beer, so I'm gonna grab that beer. BRB. Entertain the people.
So, what have people been seeing this week? What is everybody interested in? There's a lot of things that have happened. A lot of cool stuff. Elon Musk has been interesting this past week. Elon Musk has been surprisingly anti-government the past few weeks. Like it's crazy to see Elon Musk, which is ironic because he takes a lot of government money to build his companies. But it's crazy that he's basically been saying like the government is the biggest corporation with the ability to with the monopoly on violence and force. Crazy that Elon Musk would be saying that kind of stuff. I'm honestly wondering if Elon keeps saying this kind of stuff, if he's gonna get suicided, if he's gonna get ended. Because that's kind of dangerous for Elon to be saying that kind of stuff.
Who's gonna be stuff?
Elon's been saying stuff like against the government. He's been saying like, hey, like the government is the big. He literally said, and I quote, "The government is the biggest corporation, and you know, with the monopoly on violence," which is definitely true. But he's been saying a lot of anti-government stuff, saying that like he hates the like Biden bills that he's trying to push with like where they're trying to print like 6 trillion, like $5 or $6 trillion, and he's just like, no, like this is bad. And I'm like, he's gonna be suicided at any moment if he's legit about this.
Yeah.
Elon's very polarizing. Either you really like him or you really hate him. And I'm kind of indifferent. I don't like. He's kind of.
He's not a dumbass, dude. Like he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a dumbass to just be. You know, it's like, what do you think would happen to Snowden if he ever came back to America?
Oh yeah, he'd be dead. Yeah.
He'd be most likely. So you know. Like I don't think.
I think he'd be dead if he was
shit
lucky.
happened to Musk, he'd have like he has too many eyes on. Imagine the Q conspiracies and all that shit if just vanished.
You all of a sudden just like, oh no, they got Elon. we must fire up the. Oh, let's get the Bison Man ready. We have to break him out of jail. Oh,
be all over the. But anyways, let's move on. Let's move away a little bit from the political bullshit. I have a couple of topics here. We're gonna jump into a little bit of gaming here. I have a couple of topics that I've kept here for like 3 episodes, and I just wanted to talk about them a little bit. I want to talk about like genders in gaming, like the general misbehaviors and treatment of like different genders and shit. like women usually are just mistreated so much in fucking games that it's crazy. And some of them go like a little bit too far with their entitlement, but it's those, in my opinion, it's those that don't like actively talk and are like super annoying and shit that have it the worst. And
I think it depends on the game, because there are some games that I play, and like if a girl talks, like people are like, "Oh, it's a girl in the game." They're like, "Look, I will do anything. I will go to the end of the earth just to make you happy."
That's also kind of bad.
It depends. Yeah, it is bad. Yeah, so
it's simp behavior. It's the both spectrums of this shit that are, in my opinion, they're bad. It's the spectrum of the incel and the spectrum of the simp, because you got to find a middle ground in between. That's the healthy thing, you know. Like, there's a woman playing a video game, so what? But what I hate for the most part is when people go like, "Oh, girls can't play video games," or "Every girl is bad at video games," because it's just fucking grabbing a mouse and a key and touching keys on a keyboard. It's a different thing if you're like, you know, I was at some point I was like doing work in a refinery, and there was a woman there, like fucking, you know, taking like heavy shit and stuff, like, you know what I mean? But so it's not like it's a massive difference, but there is a difference, a biological difference between a dude and a woman in certain jobs, certain.
Whoa, you're saying things that are illegal.
Jeez. But there is a fucking biological difference there, where the dude is most likely stronger. There's definitely women that could beat my ass, for sure. But generally speaking, the dude is probably going to be stronger for certain things. But that's what I'm saying. Like, in gaming, you're just holding a fucking mouse. You're just moving a mouse and a keyboard and touching keys on a keyboard. It's not like you're fucking lifting heavy shit. So why would a dude be better, biologically speaking, than a girl? No.
I think they're, like, to some degree, like that men have a little bit more reflexes, like they have better reflexes in some degree. But generally speaking, though, I think it comes down just more than anything to dedication. Like, guys will be dedicated to games. I don't think it's necessarily about like it's just more of a mindset. Like, guys get dedicated to games a lot of times, whereas like a lot of women, like, they might just play it a couple hours and stream it or something like that, and just like, you know, stream and then play the game and then, you know, get money. But
that's the thing,
you know.
Generally speaking, again, girls usually have, depending on how they grew up and shit, they have like the makeup stuff and looking pretty and whatnot. So that's like you said, the dedication. So they have like other shit to put their minds to, and they play games to sort of kill some time. Where the dude is like doesn't give a shit if he's got his hair fucked up or if he's fucking wearing he's got a fucking Dorito in the fucking corner of his lip. You know what I mean? Dude just like sitting there fucking, you know, playing the game. So yeah, but I just hate this fucking sexism in gaming, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if you're like,
I think it's both a positive and a negative, because like guys are, you know, like you said, like they'll either simp or they'll be toxic, and it's kind of, it's one of those things. It's like, are you ever really gonna root it out though? Like, because it's kind of. There's going to be some segment of the population that is like that. So I don't know if you're going to be able to completely root it out. But dude, honestly, I haven't had that many interactions like that in forever though, in any game, because most people are afraid to even voice chat now, because if you say something that slightly offends somebody, they can report you and you get banned. Like, so it's a lot. I think it's a lot toned down more than what you're experiencing.
I think
I
it
don't
comes
know,
more
maybe.
down to like the fact people are like sort of fearful or uh, afraid they'll be shamed or embarrassed or their voices or something like that. Which I find I'm not gonna say I find it crazy, but I find that to be a little bit of a stretch. Like everyone has a different voice, and something that's natural and it's gonna happen. Oh, in EU though, in EU there's a difference of languages. Shit. So there's always a rivalry between like people and shit. I find this shit funny, okay? Because like many times when I'm playing like Overwatch or something and I'm chatting in voice, everyone asks me if I'm American, and I'm like, no, I'm not American. I'm not American. I just I just like gotta
Not, at least
do
not
it.
until you put your American accent on. America.
I just got a fluent English. What's the problem with that shit? And they're like, oh, fucking, you know. But I know for a fact
I
that
think it's because
they're asking
well,
me if I'm American to just shit on me if I am. Like, oh, go
yeah.
back to American servers and shit. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything, dude? Like, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's different. I guess your English is you don't even necessarily have as much of an accent as like I watch a Romanian YouTuber, but he speaks English, but he still
Oh,
has sort of like
Romanians have a very
uh well he you know he rolls a lot of his words.
yeah.
He's very much like and he has sort of a different voice, you know, like a different sort of like
Dude,
tone to everything.
I could literally play like fucking shit here from back in 2012 and stuff when I was doing like online radio interviewing people, and literally I did not sound like this at all. It sounded like I had a strong accent. So let me see. You can keep talking. Try it. 69 followers on Mixcloud.
But yeah, I think overall the idea of that kind of stuff is gone, man. Because I really don't think that that's as. I think it's still a problem, but it's not as much of a problem as it was because most people just party chat and they just play with the people that they know. They don't really play with the randoms anymore. There's not as much of that kind of stuff going on. So
Unfortunately, there's still a lot of people with randoms. Oh, other. Because there's a it's not just that you can't make friends or something like that. It's more of like it's more that sometimes time differences get kind of play, and that fucks things up. I know you guys in America, you don't have that big of a time difference, but like for example, if I want to play with an American person, there is a big time difference, and if I want to, I guess Europe is kind of the same. There's not that big of a time difference either. But if you have 1 hour to play, and you are playing at like 5 p.m., and the other person that you usually play with works until like 5 p.m. your time, but their time is like 2 hours less than your time, it's gonna be tough because they don't like it's 5 p.m. for you, but for them it's still 3 p.m. I don't. It's I'm just fucking saying. Let me see. Let me see if I can go this.
oh no. Oof. Oh, we're gonna get to see a baby pig. The baby pig.
Wine, I'm damn grinder, and that's about it. Let's go for some gluttony.
Okay. Fun. It was a metal radio, so it's playing a lot of metal.
Other guitarists.
Okay, this is when I was interviewing a British guy.
Been practicing for months and years in their bedrooms. Why and how are you going to differentiate yourself from everybody else? Now that is a bit like hardcore area, but
let me see if I can find me talking.
For killing heavy metal,
He talked a lot, which is great.
Underground metal in the 70s remains the same. And everyone could do that.
Yeah, probably makes your accent less whenever someone else is just talking.
It really old, very tales. You know, you're
okay, I can't find myself here now.
Music is 9 times you bought on Amazon.
Holy shit! That's his music.
And hello everybody,
Okay,
welcome to Tyrant Metal Radio. We have Paul Quigley here from Hell's Bells. Hello Paul and welcome back.
So what did you see? I don't know if you saw it.
I guess that wasn't as bad. But yeah, in 2009, 2010 is when I started like doing the Second Life thing, and that's when my English like kind of got a lot better, because in Second Life would hang out with a lot of American Canadians and stuff. Yeah, but until like 2011, 2012, English, like I had a very strong fuck.
Yeah. Did you see the speaking of gaming, did you see the Ubisoft thing where they tried to launch an NFT platform and they got completely ratioed?
That's why I have here gaming companies getting into NFT. And
they took the video down. They deleted the video.
Well, yeah, they had like a 96% dislike ratio. I'm not surprised, but it's so dumb because they're trying to get into this like whole thing of the blockchain and the shit, but they don't even understand what the fuck they're talking about. Like most of them, when people ask them like, "What kind of a blockchain are you in? What good is this for the future?" Just like, we're not sure yet, but we're sure that it's good for the future. Like, what? Can you give me a more vague fucking response? Like,
I didn't even get to see the trailer though. Wasn't it basically that they were selling like JPEGs really of their items? It wasn't even like a good.
No. They basically sell. These would be unique like in-game items like masks and shit, and they would just like be sort of unique. That's the whole premise. But then again, there's like a really good video on this by Young Yeah, I think. Let me see if it's this one. As of late, you may have been hearing. Let me see if it's this one. It actually goes through like the actual trailer. I think it's this one. It's this one. Let's check this. All together. Our hands. Fuck. See. Are you seeing that?
No. Oh, see it instead of
the buzzwords surrounding this whole scheme.
Yes, that's the point.
In an attempt to get people on board to start buying and selling NFTs and essentially use
but
this
I don't hear any
technology
audio
as a means
coming from
to...
it though.
But you don't hear anything?
Oh wait, is it because... Yeah, I think you have yourself...
So, let me put it. The problem is I can't control video.
As of late, you may have been hearing about terms such
as
NFT and blockchain. And this is a technology that essentially allows for digital items to have a unique identifier that allow them to be exchanged and for people to claim ownership over them. NFTs being the items themselves with the identifiers, and blockchain being the technology that is being used, essentially a digital ledger to keep track of exchanges of digital goods to give the NFTs the unique identifiers that allow for all of this. And video game companies, of course, are already on board and using all of the buzzwords surrounding this whole scheme in an attempt to get people on board to start buying and selling NFTs and essentially use this technology as a means to further turn games into their own micro economies that allow for further monetization opportunities, and they're all doing this to keep investors happy.
He shows the
trends.
trailer.
You know, game companies tend to be experts at that. And among the companies who are trying to get ahead of the curve is none other than Ubisoft, who recently introduced some NFTs into one of their games, likely a testing phase to see what the reception's like. As reported here by Video Games Chronicle, Ubisoft is adding NFTs to its games, starting with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. The company will start allowing players to buy and sell unique digital items. This was published on December 7th, 2021, the same day that Ubisoft released the following trailer, simply titled Ubisoft Quartz Announced Trailer. So I'll play the video and comment along the way. It's just a bunch of text hyping this stuff up. Here we go. It's called Ubisoft Quartz. It's in beta.
Be unique.
And all these flashy words about all this control that you have.
It's so lame, though.
Over your items.
It
Designed
really
for
is.
players. Yeah, right.
Like what I would like to see,
Energy efficient
like
claim.
for me, for them to put
digits are
NFTs in
the
actual
NFTs.
game, like regular games. What I
So
would
each
like to
item
have
that
is like
you
if I'm going to
have a
purchase a
unique
skin
identifier
that
for
I
is a
actually
digit.
own the skin, and you know, like if I'm going to purchase a
digital
skin for a
collectibles, they
character, I
claim.
actually own that, and then that way I can trade it
Because they'll
or
have, say, like,
whatever.
a unique
That
number
kind of stuff
on
would be
them.
really cool. But this kind of thing of
The
like
emphasis being
unique,
unique.
whatever, it's like, oh well, they just threw. It feels like they're just throwing
So,
things
for
against
example,
the
here you
wall,
can see the serial
hoping it
number
sticks. Like
that gives it its unique
'cause
identifier.
I
on
don't
top of
understand.
the
It's just
See
got a
that?
special serial.
and blockchain technology.
Yeah, that's the that's got a
prove
fucking
that
serial
this
number, and
item
that's what
has a unique
makes it-
identifier that allows for ownership, quote unquote.
and
This is
supposedly
just
you
the
can
beginning.
like sell it and shit.
Given the ominous premonition surrounding this,
Yeah, but the
that sounds
problem
more
with
like
that
a
is like
threat.
who
More of,
is gonna
oh,
care
you
at
just
that
wait
point? Because
until you
like
see how
what's it
games
gonna
evolve
matter
for
if
the
you just it
worse
just has a
at-
serial number? Like if it was a special skin that nobody can get, honestly, they should do that with a lot of these shop items, you know, in games. That way they can have a whole market for them, and they're like if there's whatever the market determines the price, then that way instead of me paying $20 for a skin, I might pay whatever the market is, and it could be like $10 for that skin or whatever value that it would be determined that the market says is that skin is worth. Now
I
initially
don't-
someone may what
I do not agree. Like, it's just bullshit for the executives and to get more into the thing, because like that dude that I showed on the video, he actually talks about this. TF2 already had something like this, and it was not NFT. You can already have identifiers. You can trade items between one and the other, like, you know, the Counter-Strike skins and all that shit. So this is all just a bunch of bullshit to make the most profit you possibly can as soon as possible. And it's just for investors and for stock market and all that bullshit. It's not real. No,
I don't. Well, so I think it was somebody said Diablo. Like I think the Diablo used to have like a real.
It had an
market.
option. Yes.
Yeah,
I joined Diablo when still, because I was in a course and a dude that I was in the course with, he played Diablo 3 and making money off of that shit. But it was just stupid. It's stupid because it's stupid for the person that pays fucking 100 euros for a fucking axe or some shit. And it's not unique. It's not unique, but.
Well, I mean, what if it was unique though? In that case, what if it's an auction house with unique items, like so one of a kind?
But like, dude, it's not. I see no value in that. Like, what's the point of having something unique that's gonna last you for fucking 2 years, maybe? Like, it's one thing to buy a painting that you're gonna keep in your house, and when you're gone or something like that, if you don't sell it, like before you perish, something like that, it's gonna have some value for somebody else that comes later, but like the fucking game is not gonna last forever. It's not gonna be popular forever. And there's gonna be other games that are gonna come along. And you just want unique shit for a status, for clout or whatever the fuck. Like it's dumb to me. It just I don't agree with it.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like it's pointless to most people, but to me, like it could be. There's a lot of utility to it because then like the market sets the value, not the company. Like right now, think about like if I want to get a special skin in a game right now, and let's say that I really like this game and I actually do want to pay money and I want this skin. So, say for instance, they had some skins in like Call of Duty that were really cool. They had like a Judge Dredd and these kind of things. And what if you just wanted to be able to just buy that skin, but you didn't want to necessarily pay the $20 that the company was making you pay, and then you could just pay market, and it would be $10 instead of $20.
But if it was really
I don't
unique,
know.
it would never be cheaper than the price they're selling. Company, people would make it more.
No, I mean, if it would depend on like markets are really cool. Like
why
if
do
you,
like no, listen, like why do you think things get more expensive because of scarcity? You know, like again, if it's fucking unique, it's gonna be more expensive. Like why would it be cheaper?
Well, it's not all scarcity. There's economics is really interesting because there's a lot of factors, mostly dependent upon scarcity, but it's also dependent upon what people value. Like there's a lot of subjective value. So if people think that,
dude, there was a motherfucker who sold a nugget that looked like fucking Among Us for $100,000 on eBay. Are you? No. You're sugarcoating this, man. You're fucking sugarcoating.
I'm not sugarcoating it though. Like everything is subjectively valued. Like but the overall consensus of the subjective value is what brings you to the prices that you see. So that's why, like, if people would, if nobody paid, like, say it's like $3.50 a gallon for milk. If nobody bought it, if nobody ever bought milk, and all they did was they bought either soy milk, they bought almond milk, they didn't buy actual cow milk anymore, then nobody would want to sell cow milk, and the price of cow milk would be very, very dirt cheap.
I guarantee you there would be a motherfucker. Dude, that's a different thing though, because you're no longer talking about something that's unique. You're talking about something that's mass produced. Like, so yeah, I get that, but we're talking about something here that's the purpose of this is to be unique. So if they make these things to be an NFT, it's meant to be unique. It's never going to be cheaper than the price that companies offer it for, because it's unique.
The people who made them. Well, okay, so let's say you want to take an example of something unique. So let's say, I mean, even an art painting, right? If they put it up for auction and no one wants to buy it at $100,000,
well, yeah, you're gonna have to make it cheaper.
Yeah,
but that's essentially because nobody wants it. There's got to be a reason why nobody wants it. So I think there's a difference between like people not wanting something. If I put something on an NFT showroom and it doesn't sell, and I want it to be sold, I either accept the fact that it's not selling and have to take it out, just wait for it to be purchased, or I make it cheaper so that, you know, people see like, oh, okay, this shit's cheaper now. Why the fuck not am I going to buy this?
So I guess I'll use a real life scenario. So a lot of people around here use Facebook Marketplace, and a lot of times you can find some really good deals on stuff there. And the reason being because people will sell things for a lot less than what the actual manufacturer. They could have a brand new TV, and because they bought it and they actually probably need to pay it, pay some bills instead of buying a new TV, they will sell it to you for dirt cheap, depending on, like they'll sell it to you for like a third of the price sometimes.
If it's, I don't believe that. I'd have to say that if it's real and it's brand new and it's an actual good, like if it's a shit product, they probably will see like, again, if I buy a brand new fucking like CFT monitor from 1996 or some shit, like it's obsolete. Like nobody's gonna want that except like a, if there's a lot of this product out there and it's something that doesn't have like a value, like a real value, like true value to, probably nobody's gonna want that shit. They're just gonna sort of be like, okay, I'm just gonna make this shit for cheaper, and sure. But that's again, that's not really unique. Like TVs are not necessarily unique. Like most, for example, most things that I see being sold that have been mass produced, and there's still a lot of them available out there, they still put like, if it's brand new, they make it like maybe like 20-30% cheaper than the actual product, but it's still gonna be, still gonna have a relatively close price to the actual store, the retailer.
Well, I mean, like that's not necessarily true, because like even these NFTs wouldn't. I mean, except for
nuts.
These NFTs that we're talking about, if you're talking about the quartz ones that are unique,
dude,
they have
NFTs are supposed.
serial.
The thing about NFTs, that's supposed to be unique. It's supposed to be scarce or scarce.
They're supposed to be scarce, but maybe you're misunderstanding what NFTs like. So I could issue a million a million copies of my NFT, right? If I wanted to, they would be worthless. But I could issue a million.
They wouldn't be worthless because there's like 8 or almost fucking 9 billion. I don't know if there's almost 9, but probably 8 billion people in the world. 1 million, if you think about it, it's barely anything. So it's not going to be worthless. There's going to be value to it because there's only 1 million. It's the same thing as like if you only make like 50,000 of specific model of a car, that's going to add value to it. There's like a lot of people, a lot of bands, they only issue like 500 copies of a cassette or like a CD or something. It's unique because there's only 500 of those, so it's gonna go up in value.
Well, think about it like this: there've been a lot of PS5s produced, but they're not enough for people that want to buy them. So what do they do? What does the market determine that the prices are generally going up if you can't get them from a manufacturer? So the market's determining that at that point, and not even though they're all perfectly fine PS5s or whatever, but the market is determining that now that they're going to be more expensive because it's harder to get a hold of.
Well, then you just agree with me because they're scarce. There's scarcity of PlayStation, so they're more expensive.
But that's because people. Okay, I think about it from a human action standpoint. So what, humans, think about what people gravitate towards and the things that they value, and that's what I'm saying. Like the subjective value of people is different at different times, and even on different days. So there are some things in my closet that I may not subjectively value anymore that I would just sell for dirt cheap that might actually be very valuable if I didn't do my research. It's kind of like people who have sold a lot of old Pokemon cards or whatever, and then they realize that those would have went for like 20 grand maybe. Not saying that has happened a lot, but just like people who do that kind of stuff, they just sell something because they don't want it, they're going to get rid of it, and then they find out that it's super valuable.
Oh man, but that happens all the time. But that's a little bit different. It's different because, well, first of all, Pokemon cards are, I don't think they're that unique. But at the same time, it's like if you don't know anything about it, then most likely you're probably gonna grab a bunch of fucking cards, put them in the box, and say like, yeah, I'm selling this shit for like $100. Like this happened all the time with Magic cards as well. Like a lot of people they grabbed a bunch of cards, they didn't know shit about like the value of the cards themselves. They only played it for like a few years or some shit. They put a bunch of fucking cards in the box, and they sold it for like €100 or $100, and then they somebody who gets that fucking thing, they realize, oh shit, there's a card here that's worth like $2,000. Like, wow, dude, fucking jackpot. But that's the same thing as like the opening those storage units and shit, where people pay like $500 for a storage unit, and you don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in there, so maybe maybe you can double your money, or you can just have just lost the money you spent for that shit. But at the same time, it's like the point is like NFTs are meant to be unique, even if it's a million of NFTs you mint. It's still unique because there's 8 billion people in the world, and 1 million is not that much if you think about it. I mean, the fucking like the punks bullshit and the monkeys bullshit and all that shit.
Yeah, there's still not.
It's 10,000 of them, but they're unique. That meaning that there's 10,000s of them, but each one is unique. So that's that's basically what the point I'm trying to make. It's I don't see a value outside of the investors and outside of the profitability bullshit for these games and shit. I don't see a value outside of that. I don't see a value like outside of people wanting to have some clout just because they have something that's unique to them, just because they paid more. Like, you think Ubisoft wants to sell this shit for dirt cheap? No, they fucking probably want to sell these items for like fucking 50 fucking bucks or shit, just so they have a mask that's only 10 available of them.
That would be the initial point, though, right? But what I'm saying is every transaction after that can become increasingly potentially like the price will go to what people value it. So even if Ubisoft sells it for this is how markets work. If Ubisoft can sell it for like say they sell one skin for $5,000, okay? Like say they do something stupid like that. They just want to go nuts. They sell it for $5,000, and then if no one wants to buy anymore, or they don't want to, they stop wanting to buy the NFTs, then the market will determine that they have to be cheaper, and so thus you could get they could be worth only $10 at the end of the day.
Yeah, but at the point people determine that they're cheap, it's because they've become either obsolete or people are no longer interested in. That's what I'm trying to say, dude. That's what I like. You're not getting. It's if it's cheap, it's because people don't give a fuck about it. Because if people give a fuck about it, it's not going to be cheap at all. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think we're saying the same thing, but in a different way.
Probably,
I really
if people see that you can profit off of selling some shit, and you can most likely sell it or some shit, why would you sell it cheaper? It doesn't make any sense. Unless it's obsolete, or there's a lot more to it, or whatever. Otherwise, there's no reason to sell it cheaper.
Well, I'm not saying that Ubisoft would. Ubisoft might still want to sell it for $5,000, but I'm saying the market.
People would too, man. People would as well. People would probably want to sell it for either, if they bought it for $5,000, but they wanted to sell it, they probably wouldn't make it $5,000 either. if people value it to the point of it goes more expensive because of scarcity, it makes sense. But if they want to sell it, I guess maybe what you're trying to say is they would make it cheaper. Like instead of $5,000, they'd make it like 4,998. But that's not that big of a difference in my opinion. It's still like, it's technically still $5,000. But why would they, if shit is like technically, you know, still valuable, there is no reason why people would pay $5,000 for something and then they would sell it for like, you know, fucking $100, unless it's obsolete.
Okay, I'll give real life examples. There are people around here who will like buy a whole freaking boat, and then when they realize that they don't use it that much, like after like maybe less than a year of even having the boat, and they realize, oh, I don't even use that boat that much, like they'll sell like an $8,000 boat for like half price because they just want to get rid of it. They're tired of dealing with it.
But that's different, man. They just want to get rid of it.
I think it's the same.
No, it's not the same because they want to get rid of it, so there's no longer value to them. So they want to get rid of it. They have to do whatever it takes to get rid of it. You can't, like, if you want to get rid of it, you're not going to make it more expensive. But like, if we're talking about NFTs, like, it's a lot different. Like, you're not, if you're gonna pay $5,000 for something, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna use this for like 3 months and I'm gonna sell it for like $3,500 bucks. Like, you know, like, what? No.
I mean, maybe you haven't encountered a lot of the people that I have, but there are a lot of people who just do stupid things. Like they'll buy something like way out of their price range, and then they'll realize like that they can't afford it, and then they just sell it.
Okay, that's stupidity. That's a lot different. And you know, I'm not talking about stupid. About, you know, like people have a, you know, like if I was to buy something because it's unique, I'm not then gonna sell it. And once again, it's like, it's one thing if you buy something out of a mistake and then you want to get rid of it. It's another thing you legitimately pay for something and then you want to get rid of it. Like, I don't think anybody's buying NFTs to after like 3 months sell them for. I'm pretty sure like people are buying NFTs so that they can sort of make a profit out of it. That's why NFTs are getting so much. You know, like you buy a punk for like a fraction of like for a certain price, and then you eventually, when there's no longer punks available, but somebody wants a punk, you're gonna put it for sale, and it's gonna have a lot more value because now it's scarce. It's you know, you have to either buy it from that person or you know, you're not gonna get it. It's the same thing like if they only make 1,000 cars and the 1,000 cars that have been sold, you know, the cars are probably not going to drop in value. They're going to probably go up in value. Like, oh, you want this car that's unique to 1,000 people? Well, you got to pay me more. I'm not going to sell you this car that it's unique to me and other 999 people for dirt cheap for half of the price, unless it's broken or unless it's fucked up or some shit. That's what a lot of people do. They sell shit that's broken or that it doesn't work properly, and they advertise it as brand new or almost new, and then you fucking get it.
You can't do that anymore. That's a huge legal issue.
Yeah, you can, man. You're just talking about Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people do that shit.
You can't, like, you'll get banned from a group immediately if you do. Like, and
bro, you just made a profit. You can make another fucking account and join the same group and same. It's.
I mean,
yeah, you can do that, man.
You're not gonna. You're gonna get. You're asking for a lawsuit because that's actually legal, like a legal issue in the U.S.
Dude, not, you know, yeah, but that's how the U.S. works. Everyone sues everyone, but that's not how the rest of. So yeah.
We're civilized people. What can I say?
Oh, you stepped on my lawn. Lawsuit. You called me ugly. Lawsuit. Like, you know. But yeah. Got 5 minutes left.
That there was an interesting case that I saw. I don't know if you saw this story. There was, I think it was the UK though, but some guy sued his neighbor. Like he had a disagreement with his neighbor, and they basically went into like mediation or a lawsuit or something like that, and it ended up like they had a tree that was in the middle of their yards, and one guy didn't want the tree, the other guy did want the tree. So what they ended up doing as a compromise is they cut the tree in half at the line.
What the? That's so dumb. What's the point of having half a tree?
I have no idea.
No one won. That's so dumb. Anyways, got about 4 minutes left, so I guess we're gonna say our goodbyes. You know, go ahead, tell people. I guess I'll just go first. You can find my shit on EldritchsPIG.me, and that's pretty much my socials and fucking streams and all that stuff. I stream on Twitch and Vim on a regular basis, so yeah. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I've got you know, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Vim, obviously, and Hive, all Trade 50 Annual, and I also have a link to all of my other social media, so my YouTube channel and everything else. If you want to follow me there.
There we go. Thank you very much, everybody that joined us. We appreciate you. Thanks for the chats and all that shit. It's always appreciated. And, you know, stick around for LP Foster show, Joculation. So, yeah. Fuck all y'all. What are you gonna stream next? When's your next?
I was probably gonna play some tonight. I'll play some Halo Infinite.
Yeah, you fucking addicted.
I gotta beat the campaign, man. I got to.
Yeah, but you're still gonna play the multiplayer all the time.
Off and on, yeah.
Yeah, I Dead by Daylight got like some Prime stuff, Prime skins. So I think I might try that out for the artist. Really hot. Got no. Oh. Actually, not a huge fan of tall women. Like I'd need a fucking lamp. Even go for a smooch.
It depends on the guy's height. That like there are some guys who are so short, it's kind of like, you know, they just kind of have to accept it.
Yeah, I'm not that short. I'm fucking average for my age. I'm 5'7", 5'8", something like that. That's fucking average. Like most people around me are that same height, so it's one of the stupidest fucking shit
I'm 6'2",
I've ever seen. Okay, fuck you. But it's like one of the stupidest shit that people make fun of nowadays. It's like the height. Like why the fuck would you make fun of height? Like it's not like I can fucking control it. It's not like I can press a button and I go taller. You know. Yeah. Anyways, we're about to end. See you guys.